Your high school bully grew up and now he's fucking taking magic cards from grown-ass adult nerds.
Welcome to Wow If True, the podcast of your wildest memes.
We're your one-stop internet culture shop, here to dissect what's going viral, why we care, and how this might affect our real human lives. I'm going viral on Tumblr again for God knows what reason. Isabel.
And I'm Amanda, a prolific skeeter. Anyone can be famous on the internet, so why not us?
We are 3 episodes away from 69, and the countdown, it's looming closer. Just wanted to acknowledge that for everyone in this room.
I also want to make a heartfelt apology to all of our listeners that on our last episode we did not say how many episodes away from 69 we were. This was an oversight on our part, and, you know, we want to be better. We want to do good for the audience, and I just really thank you for being gracious with us and calling us in.
Thank you for not canceling us on Twitter. Although I guess it's like the days of being able to cancel someone on Twitter are so imminently coming to an end. So in my opinion, this was one of those weeks where like the entire internet imploded and we just have like 5 million things to talk about just because every day it was like a new thing happening. It was really like, honestly, it was just like when Supernatural Destiel Destiel Confession happened. You know, it's the same sort of energy that's in the room with us today.
I will say, I think it's funny sometimes when I meet, like, new people in real life who I know, like, you can tell when people are on Tumblr, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, you know, when Destiel went canon in the Spanish dub, and then that's, like, all I know about Supernatural is, like, I have the most esoteric knowledge about this very popular TV show, and then I freak people out by being like, oh yeah, the Spanish dub, like, yeah, and then the French dub?
I love that that's your, like, esoteric knowledge that you can bring out, like, the forbidden lore. Yeah. Okay, we're talking about something worse than Destiel. We're talking about Twitter, and specifically we're talking about... We just thought this was funny. The current situation, the current situation as of last week, was that it was Drill versus Elon.
WWE SmackDown, Drill versus Elon, baby.
Which is an incredible matchup, because Drill is, like, the poster of all time. If you don't know who @Drill is Wint, who is also, I forget the guy's actual name because I just know him simply as Drill.
Yeah, he's been a poster for, like, over a decade, and no one knew who he was until a few weeks ago, and he was just like, yep, it's me, I'm some guy. And then now, like, he's just back in the news again. Drill is really going to be a through line in this episode.
Drill, so if you don't know who Drill is, if you've heard I will face God and walk backwards into hell, or blank, 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 like candles, rent, please help me, my family is dying, please help me budget, you know, that one thing that gets, that one meme that gets, like, redone with, like, whatever absurd thing you're spending too much money on. Those are both Drill. Drill is just very good at making posts. It's interesting. Can we talk about the fact that making posts is a skill?
Yeah, and it's a skill that Elon Musk doesn't have, but wishes he had. Like, Drill is who Elon wants to be.
Yeah, I think what this is really about is the fact that there's, like, basically a random guy who is so good at posting versus... And this is, like, his one skill, right? Like, this is the one skill that Drill has. When you read the profile of him, which came out, like, I think, like, a couple weeks ago, it really shows that he's literally just some guy who has this magnificent skill at posting and nothing else. Like, everything else he's fine at. But, like, he's not doing amazingly. He's not rich. He's not, like, he's just some guy. And this is the guy versus Elon Musk, who has, you know, the Emerald Mines money. And Elon desperately wants to be able to post. He bought the site so he could post. But he can't.
He spent $44 billion to post, and he still can't post.
And, like, what we're really all learning from this is that posting is not something that can be bought. You can't buy being funny. But you know what you can buy? Blue checks for other people.
Yeah, so basically what was happening is that On 420, Elon stayed true to his word, and everyone's blue checks just went away. Which also was funny because I was at, like, a big creator event on 420 in LA. I'll talk more about my LA escapades later. But people were just like, oh, hey, my blue check's gone, haha. And, like, no one really cared except, like, Mark D'Amelio, parent of Charlie and Dixie D'Amelio, seemed like he kind of cared. He was getting a little salty. Like, I think he was trying to pretend he didn't care, but he didn't care. But, so everyone was losing their blue checks, and then big-name celebrities were not buying the blue checks. And then Elon just started giving out blue checks to people that he thought were fun, or people that he wanted to troll, like Stephen King, who had been arguing with him on Twitter previously, and then Drill.
So the fucked up thing here, also just as an aside, is the fact that he was giving blue checks to people who were dead, too. That's a lot. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he just gave one to Drill, and Drill was like, I didn't buy this. I don't want this.
Yeah. I think what happened was that he was giving blue checks to accounts with more than 1 million followers, but I don't think he gave it to all the accounts. Like, I think... Like, it was mostly accounts that have more than 1 million
followers. It seemed like a curated
it wasn't like everything.
List after, like, a certain criteria had been met. So the interesting thing is I learned that the checkmark goes away if you change the name. So Drill changes his name. They give him the checkmark again. He changes his name again. They give him the checkmark again. It's really Looney Tunes, honestly. It was very, like, Tom and Jerry or, like, fucking Roadrunner and Coyote.
It's so funny that, like... Elon Musk and Drill are just warring over giving him a blue check, and then he takes it away, then he gives it back. And then I have some Drill tweets to read. On April 22nd, he said, "Now that I have the baneful blue mark, I understand the pain I've wrought. I was wrong to torment Dogcoin guys. I'm jealous of their millions. Building a pressurized 3,000-mile-long tube across the desert instead of a normal train is actually a really good idea. Always has been. You can disagree with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's politics while still hanging out with them in photographs. It's totally fine."
And just to paint you a word picture here, this is after his final form of his username being slave to woke. It was previously the only good guy with the check mark and forgiven ascended wint, among other things. Like, it was getting really absurd. It was getting really funny.
Also, all of these tweets that I just read have at least 2 million
this
views.
is who Elon wants to be. Like, unironic. I think that must drive him insane.
He wants to be a poster, but he's not.
Like, it's really showing us the power of a jester. Like, you know what I mean? Like, literally, it's like, I'm like half joking, but I'm half serious, where it's like, if Twitter is the court, Drill is the jester, and, you know, like, you can simply speak truth to power if you are the guy who can tell the best joke.
Drill, the court jester of Twitter.
He's bad at jokes. He's not funny. He can't buy being funny. It drives him insane.
Yeah. And it's just like, whenever Elon tries to tell a joke, they're just not good. Like, he's running this company into the ground, and then he takes the time to be like, what if I removed the W from the Twitter logo? Like, outside of the Twitter HQ in San Francisco, he, like, painted over, not like he personally, but he, I guess, had someone paint over the W in Twitter to make it the same color as the wall, so it says Titter. But then, actually, one of my colleagues was in San Francisco and was like, I'm gonna check this out and see if this is really happening. But I think he only did it on one side, and it's like a cubic sort of sign that has like multiple sides. So, he just wanted the picture to post it. But it's not funny. But you know what is funny? That, you know, Titter isn't funny. But another thing that's funny.
What's funny?
Skeet.
What is this?
Do you know about Skeet?
I don't know about Skeet. Tell me about Skeet.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay, so I'm a Blue Sky influencer right now.
Hell yeah.
Not actually. I mean, I have like
AOC follow you?
Yeah, she follows me. I'm an influencer. What can I say?
Bro, you are dead ass an influencer.
Yeah.
Also, when you get an invite, can I have one of those sweet invites? I'm going to join the legions of people asking you for one.
Yeah, literally, I, in the past few days, have probably had like 20 people ask me for an invite to Blue Sky. I have 0 invites, but I think I want you to be on there so we can build clout together for our podcast.
Exactly. This is the logical end game of our podcast.
Yeah, we're gonna make it big on Blue Sky. Anyway, you're probably wondering, what's Blue Sky? Blue Sky is basically like the first competitor to Twitter, like the first kind of like, what if you use this instead of Twitter type app that I'm actually like really into. Like, I'm having a great time on Blue Sky. To quote this guy, Pavel Samsonov, who said on Blue Sky, parentheses, serious people making silly little posts, is the spiritual opposite of LinkedIn, parentheses, silly people trying to write serious thought posts. It's just like, you have all of these like annoying tech people and journalists, and everyone is just like, does not give a fuck anymore. Like, everyone's just tired and everyone's just like shitposting.
See, that sounds fun. This is kind of why I want to get on Blue Sky, because I want to see the memes.
It is fun. And also I do have to point out that when I'm trying to describe what Blue Sky is like, there are like 50,000 people on there. It's at this point, like, this is just my little corner of Blue Sky. But I think I can support this thesis. But before I go further, again, what is Blue Sky? Blue Sky started as an independent public benefit company in 2019 when Jack Dorsey, who founded Twitter and was CEO at the time, decided that Twitter would fund a small independent team to develop a decentralized standard for social media. Basically, he was trying to have them build Mastodon, but like better. So this is like decentralized, federated, there's all the different little servers, except right now there's just one social server, but there's gonna be a ton more servers in the future. Things are gonna get chaotic. I'm sure there's gonna be some content moderation horror stories that happen in the next few months. But Skeets. So, on Twitter, you tweet. On Mastodon, you used to toot. But then they changed it to just posting, which I think is fucking coward shit. Come on. Tooting was the only good part about Mastodon. And then, so on Blue Sky, what do? So people just kind of decided, what about a portmanteau of sky and tweet?
Skeet. So you skeet?
Yeah.
Is that what it is? That's so fucking stupid. 10 out of 10.
Yeah. And also, for those who don't know, I do believe skeet is slang for semen.
What?
Right?
Bro, I have never heard that, but I mean, there's a lot of things I've never heard. That could be true. I don't fucking know.
Urban Dictionary.
Yo, for real though?
Yeah, it means, it says to come / ejaculate on someone or something.
God, I don't want us to talk about cum on our podcast. I hear enough about that from Derek.
I'm so sorry. But yeah, so everyone's just skeeting all over the place on Blue
Oh
Sky.
no! I hate it. That is actually the paper.
Yeah, so then the CEO of Blue Sky, not Jack Dorsey. Jack Dorsey, like, funded it, but he's not, like, running it. She posted, like, guys, seriously, can we please not do skeets? Like, please, just, like, let me have this one thing. And that was the absolute worst move to make there. I'm so sorry, but if you're a CEO of a social media network and you tell people not to do something, you know what they're gonna do?
Oh no, they started doing it more.
They're gonna start skeeting everywhere.
Oh no, say other things.
And then, like, someone on Blue Sky was like, alright guys, we gotta get the journalists to, like, write skeet in their posts, and then it'll stick. So I wrote skeet in my post. A writer for Fast Company wrote skeet. A writer for Rolling Stone wrote skeet. A New York Times writer wrote skeet. Like, we're getting in there. We're skeeting everywhere.
I think you're enjoying skeeting a little bit too much.
Yeah, I'm having a great time on Blue Sky. And to bring it back to drill, a really big moment yesterday, it feels like forever ago, and it was yesterday, was when drill arrived on Blue Sky. So the devs of Blue Sky have been very publicly posting, which in serious ways, I think it's really cool that they're being very open about, like, what they're building and, like, what mistakes they're making and how they're fixing those mistakes and whatever. But also they've been kind of shitposty, which I think has contributed to this shitposty culture. And so this one dev named Emily posted a picture of Drill's book of best tweets, which is a book that exists. And a book called, it was like something about memetics, like it was something about memes, and she posted a picture of those two and was like, is now a good time to say that I got these while I was onboarding for my job at Blue Sky. And I fact-checked that because I was writing about this, and I was like, you're not shitposting, right? Like, that's legit. And then the people at Blue Sky were like, no, that's legit. Like, yeah. Actually, if we want to be completely accurate, Brian Newbold, who is a developer at Blue Sky, said to me, quote, every letter of the first word in all of this is capitalized. It is the public state policy of Blue Sky PB LLC that all new employees shall receive the finest @drill.bsky.social tweets in printed form.
I didn't know that you could get a book. What?
Yeah, Drill has a book.
Drill has a... I don't like... No, I did know that he had a book because I did read that article, but I forgot that he had the book, and I was just very briefly like, printed Drill?
No,
it just doesn't feel right.
I think that's good for him, because what other way is he going to make money by being Drill? You can't make any money on Twitter.
But is he going to make money by skeeting?
No, well, you can't make money by skeeting. Oh, God. We didn't even put in our outline that another thing that happens on the internet this week was that people found Elon Musk's burner account.
Oh my God, we didn't even talk about the one where he's role-playing as his own child.
Yeah, where people found that because he posted a screenshot, like, from his Twitter that showed how he was using this monetization feature, which, for the record, existed before he took over. This is, like, an old feature. And he had, like, 27,000 subscribers or something. Good for him. Go, Elon. You're killing it. And then it shows when you're logged into other accounts, and there was this icon that was in the screenshot he posted, and then people kind of, like, reverse searched and found what that account was, and the icon was a picture of his son, and it was a picture that, people tried, like, reverse image searching it and couldn't find it elsewhere, so it seemed like this is, like, the account. And it's just Elon, like, saying weird shit about, like, pretending to be his son and being like, I can't wait to go to nightclubs. And then also he responded to a tweet making fun of Caroline Ellison, who was the CEO of Alameda Research, which is the hedge fund that was connected to FTX. FTX went boom. Caroline Ellison has since pled guilty to many fraud. And she was said to be dating Sam Bankman-Fried, the CEO of FTX. This is a big setup for a joke. And
yeah, this is a long ass joke setup. Anyway,
listen,
go on.
I'm trying to make our podcast accessible to
Is
people.
this accessible? I feel like we're making it less accessible by the minute.
If I say Caroline Ellison, do people know who I'm talking about?
I don't.
But so this random guy posts and is like, imagine risking $16 billion of your net worth for this, and then a picture of her, which is a gross thing to say. Like, you can critique her for doing fraud, but don't critique her for how she looks. And then Elon responds, I love librarians, because she kind of has, like, glasses, like, curly hair.
She has, like, the glasses vibe, yeah.
Yeah. And then in another situation, someone was tweeting about Satoshi, who is the pseudonymous developer behind Bitcoin, who is thought to be Japanese, and then Elon responded, I love Japanese girls. And he's just, like, saying some weird shit.
And he's saying all this shit on the account that has his kid's picture. Like, The thing here is that it's not even, like, a grown-ass man account. It is an account where he's, like, pretending to be his son. It is very weird. And everyone's, like, pretty sure it's Elon, just because enough of the facts line up.
Yeah, this is one of those situations where, like, in writing about it, I'm like, we are not 100% sure this is true, however, look at all this evidence. Including, like, the account got taken down briefly, then put back up, then, like, and just, like, everything lines up. Some people went and, like, scraped the data, and this account had been called Elon Test for, like, months. It's like, not like someone just, like, did this as a bit.
Here's the thing, is that he's being stupid about it. Like, why is Elon is fascinating in how he always manages to make the worst move for himself.
I do think that at some point we need to circle back and figure out when does our secret baby debate expire, because we do have a bet about whether or not there's more secret babies that will be uncovered.
Right, true.
I believe it was a year.
Yeah, this is very important.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I forget when we said it, though, so...
Yeah. If anyone wants to let us know, please do. But... anyway, back to Blue Sky.
Wait, okay, actually I have a question about Blue Sky in general, because I feel like like, it exploded on my Twitter timeline in the last, like, 2 days, and before that, nobody was talking about it. Is that true, or is that just what I'm seeing? And also, like, do you think that this is, like, are all the people on Blue Sky right now, like, official quote-unquote people? Because what it seems like to me right now is that what it's got journalists, and it's got, like, important people, and Drill. Also, obviously, Drill is part of important people.
I think there are some just, like, random people on there, but I think most platforms, when they're in their beta phase, they end up being very dominated by people that at least work in tech, even if they're not, like, big famous tech people, but just, like, random software engineers and stuff, just because those are the people that are generally most interested in beta testing software. So to answer your questions, one, yes, it has become bigger in the last couple of days just by virtue of, like, more people getting invites and more people being like, hey, this is actually really fun. Two, I don't think it's just, like, journalists and quote-unquote famous people. Like, there are just people there, but they're probably more likely to have jobs in tech. I also think it's important to point out that, like, it might seem like Blue Sky came out of nowhere, but, like, as someone who writes about Twitter and, like, intensively follows social media, like, I was aware of Blue Sky before the Elon Musk thing ever happened, because, not to, you know, plug the workplace, but TechCrunch wrote a feature on it in, like, January 2021 in relation to the deplatforming of Trump and, like, exploring how would decentralized social media be a place for the right wing to go, because it's decentralized, you can kind of make up the rules as you go. Like, you can have your own little server and just make up the rules.
I mean, my hot take is that decentralization is actually not the future of social media. I used to think it would be, and then Twitter started imploding, and now I'm like, oh, actually, I think that everybody does want a big forum for all the boys. Like, deep in their heart, everyone wants a big forum for all the boys. So I think it will turn into, like, the social, like, the one big instance of Blue Sky or whatever it ends up being will just be, that's where everybody is. That's my hot take and what I think will happen. I don't actually know if that's true.
Yeah, there has been some arguments where half of Blue Sky is like, you guys don't understand the importance of federation, and then the other half is like, haha, Skeet. Like, this has been a thing. I personally, like, I think Mastodon didn't really take off because, like, Mastodon's just hard to use. Like,
Mastodon has a lot of barriers to entry. This was also my question about Blue Sky, because it's invite only, which I don't know if that's
just because it's a closed beta right now, because they're, like, it's like, this is a very bare bones site. Like, they don't even have a web page. Like, to use Blue Sky on the web, you have to type in a URL and then go staging.bsky.app.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Like, it's... Yeah, like, this app is, like, barely functioning because it is,
no, but, like, you know
beta.
what I mean, where, like, when stuff is, like, closed versus open, like, either it's, like, it implies exclusivity, or it, like, turns people off from getting on it, which I think is what happens with Mastodon, honestly, because Mastodon is hard to get onto.
Yeah, I mean, I think Blue Sky, like, once you have the invite, or, like, once they go out of closed beta, it's easy to get set up because you just get automatically thrown into the Blue Sky social server, which is where literally everybody is right now because closed beta. But yeah, I mean, on Mastodon, like, I joined the journalist server, but then all of the other servers started banning the journalist server, and then I was like, I can't even talk to people because I'm banned everywhere for, like, just for, like, being in the journalist server. And, like, I don't know, Mastodon's annoying, I don't like it. Like, I like the idea of it. I think having an open source nonprofit social media platform feels like a good thing, because I think social media platforms seeking profit is always where we get into trouble. But I mean, Blue Sky is also not for profit, I believe. Like, they're a public benefit corporation. Does that mean they're nonprofit? I don't know.
Yeah, that doesn't mean they're nonprofit. Being a B Corp is just like a special certification sort of deal that you can do, but you can still be for profit. Ben and Jerry's is a B Corp.
Interesting.
Or, like, they were, I don't know if they still are after they got bought, but, like, yeah, a bunch of places do the B Corp thing because it's, like, they care about stuff. And all it means is that you now care about stuff officially. And you will try to work toward those stuff along with your other corporate goals, which are making money for your shareholders or whatever. Business.
I must emphasize again, it is midnight as
I thought that was pretty good for midnight. I thought that was a pretty good B Corp explanation for midnight.
I do think we know what we're talking about, and I do feel like 99% good about the things I've said so far in this episode.
I mean, like, okay, like, I'm not saying that we're always wrong or that we're, like, factually incorrect. I think a lot of times we're fuzzy on some of the details just because we're not, this is not a news podcast. Like, this is not here are all the facts and in the specific order that they happened in podcast. It is we're going to give you, like, a brief riff of the facts, and then we're going to riff on it. Like, you know, like, there's a different, like, it's a fucking opinion piece. It's fine. Again, it's midnight. I don't know why I'm defending myself to a straw man. Let's talk about, hey, speaking of defending yourself.
Oh, I have one more.
Oh, but that was such a good segue. Come on. Just kidding. Go ahead.
My final thing about Blue Sky is, 1, yes, AOC follows me. 2, Ken Jennings does not follow me. And to go back to old school WoW True, where we were like, we have to give ourselves assignments to, like, get clout online. I want Ken Jennings to follow me. I'm going to try to get Ken Jennings to follow me.
I believe in your ability to get Ken Jennings to follow you. It's mad fucked up. He's not following you right now.
I know. Ken Jennings, Brandon Sanderson's college roommate. Anyway, back to your segue about, you know who else is defending themselves? Something.
YouTuber is defending themselves against the Pinkertons because Wizards of the Coast sent Pinkertons after this YouTuber to retrieve Magic the Gathering cards.
I just love that the Pinkertons were, like, a Civil War era, like, detective agency / security outlet kind of thing. They still exist, but they've existed for,
like, hundreds of years.
And then YouTubers.
I can't believe that you can call Pinkertons on, like, a human being in 2023.
Especially when you're Wizards of the Coast, the publisher of Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons.
The fucked up thing here is also, like, first of all, Pinkertons, the fact that there's been continuity in the Pinkertons' existence for this long, insane. 2, the US government is actually not allowed to contract with Pinkertons specifically. Like, they are literally not allowed to do that. It's actually really funny. I looked this up. And 3, Wizards of the Coast, which is like Hasbro. Like, Wizards of the Coast is a Hasbro company that does Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering. And basically this YouTuber got his hands on unreleased Magic cards, and then Wizards of the Coast were like, yo, this wizard cardboard, we need to send the Pinkertons to retrieve it.
Yeah, and, like, so also this guy is not, like, a popular YouTuber. He had, like, 4,000 followers before all this happened. Now he has, like, 5,000. But, like, he's just a guy who likes Magic the Gathering and has been playing for many years and just posts some videos for fun. Like, I believe the Gizmodo article about him was like, content creation is not his full-time job. It's also not his part-time job. This is simply a guy who likes Magic the Gathering and makes YouTube videos about it. And he got these, like, yet-to-be-released cards. Literally, he just, like, ordered them, and then somehow on accident he got his hands on them, and then he made a video because I guess he thought maybe...
Because he was excited about it, because they're new cards. Like, he's a fan.
Yeah, he was like, hey guys, look, I got these new cards. Are these real? I don't know, man. And then he got the Pinkertons sent on him. They made his wife cry.
There were so many steps that Wizards could have taken before sending Pinkertons that they did not take. Like, this is the worst optics-wise, insane move. Weird move. What is going on here?
So I'm not glad that this happened in the sense of, like, I don't think that random guys should be, like, harassed for having Magic cards, and it's really disgusting what Wizards of the Coast did to this guy. However, I just love when things on the internet are like, in my wildest dreams, I would have never been like, you know what's gonna happen in 2023? Wizards of the Coast sending Pinkertons to a YouTuber's house to retrieve unreleased Magic cards.
Now we know what Wizards cares about, right? Like, they wouldn't do this to a D&D player. But to a fucking Magic player, yo, that wizard cardboard, we gotta get that back.
I just, like, I don't even have anything, like, particularly intelligent to say about this, except just, like, we just need to acknowledge this happened, because what the actual fuck? But yeah, like, the Pinkertons, honestly, my first thought was, like, isn't that a Pixies album? They literally were, like, Lincoln's defense people because the Secret Service didn't exist until after Lincoln's assassination. Like, they were spying on the Confederacy for Lincoln during the Civil War, and then after that, they became, like, professional Union busters, to the point that, like, the word Pinkerton basically just means Union buster now. And then Wizards of the Coast hired them to just go to this random dude's house.
Interestingly enough, I believe that they're actually owned by, like, some European company right now, Pinkertons. Like, they're a subsidiary.
Interesting.
Yeah, you can just hire them. You can just do that. You know, I think the thing here that's also interesting is that, like, had it not been Pinkertons, I feel like the internet backlash would not have been as high. So this was just, like, insane optic situation. Like, why is Pinkertons who they have on retainer here? Like what? Like, what else have they had them doing, you know? Like, what other pieces of wizard cardboard are they sending Pinkertons after? Also, if you're a Pinkerton agent and you get told, I gotta go get that wizard cardboard, do you, like, stop and think about your life a little bit? Because I would stop and think about my life a little bit, you know?
Yeah. I mean, they're probably, like, gonna go to some nerd's house and make his wife
Yeah, like,
cry.
I'm gonna go beat up a nerd. This is, like, you know, this is what I do professionally now. Your high school bully grew up, and now he's fucking taking magic cards from grown-ass adult nerds. It's, you know, high school never ends. Bowling for soup.
High school never ends. The Pinkertons will come to your house and steal your magic cards.
What is a house if not a big locker? I don't fucking know.
It's just like, do you ever think, like, how would you explain to Abraham Lincoln, these people that you've hired to protect you and to, like, spy on the Confederacy, one day there will be this card game that a lot of nerds play about wizards, and a company that has wizards in their name is gonna send them to some dude's house because he posted a video on a website called YouTube.
See, now you have to explain what a video is, and you need to explain what YouTube is.
Did they have videos in the...
Yeah, but he doesn't know a video like we know a video. I don't think they had videos in the Civil War. I'm gonna be real, I do not remember the timing of when inventions happened. I'm pretty sure they did not have videos.
A very quick Google search, again, not the best fact-checking we've ever done, says 1888, so Lincoln would not have known.
Yeah, Lincoln doesn't know what a video is, so you would have to be like, so they have some sort of he made some sort of like a recorded play.
Didn't you learn this in art school?
We did. I mean, I took some photography classes.
There's those ones with, like, the animals, where they're, like, animations of animals, basically.
But it's not an animation, it's like, anyway, we've gotten so off track.
Yeah, just the Pinkertons, man. You know what else is fucking insane?
Oh, you see, I do actually know what's fucking insane, and ironically, I know that you told me not to look at it. Ironically, I was spoiled by your post on Twitter, by your tweet.
When I saw this, it was pretty early after it had been posted, and then it started going really viral, and I was like, no, by the time the podcast comes out, everyone will know about this. But I talked about this in my weaving class. We didn't even say what this is yet. But, like, for some reason, this came up in my weaving class, and I had to explain to, like, 40-year-old women with children what an incel is. Anyway, so, basically, an incel. Guy who does not have sex, he wants to have sex, he is involuntarily celibate, hence incel. But it's not just a guy who's like, yeah, I really wish I was having sex, but I'm not. It's a guy who is like, women will not have sex with me, and women only exist on the earth in order to have sex with me, and if they are not having sex with me, then they are horrible and, like, fuck women, and they have no right to exist.
Incels are basically, everyone who's listening to this podcast probably knows what an incel is. Like, why have you found this podcast unless you know what incels are? But basically, 4chan offshoot.
I'm being accessible, Isabel.
I'm just thinking about it now, because I'm like, I was going to further explain what you were saying, and I was like, wait a minute. Why would you be on this podcast unless you are so deep in the juice that you were like, yeah, I know what incels are. But yeah, no, 4chan adjacent subculture, red pill adjacent subculture. I'm not unpacking what these things are further. Just figure it out on your own.
They're just, like, raging misogynists who are more disgusting than you can ever imagine, and they are this way because they are sad that no one is having sex with them. It's a whole community.
I did call myself, like,
forums.
I did call myself the girl version of an incel for, like, the longest time, and then I stopped after they started shooting people. Anyway.
Isabel!
What?
I feel like you were doing it as like a bit though.
It's like a bit, but it's a little bit serious.
I'm gonna go past that.
I was on 4chan in high school. You know, I'm not above it all.
It's different when you're in high school. The main character here is a 33-year-old man.
That's rough. Okay, tell me more.
So, he is the moderator of a big incel forum. I unfortunately read a lot of posts on that forum.
That's so rough. That's like being a Reddit mod, but like 10 times worse.
Yeah. And so, after all this time, he finally has a girlfriend.
Holy shit.
She's 19.
Mm.
That's just another element here.
He's 33, you said.
Yes. And then they had sex.
Okay, moving on past the 19 thing, because not great, but I want to see where this is going. They had sex. Great. He's no longer an incel.
Anyway, yeah, so this guy's no longer an incel. The thing about the incel community is that when you, quote-unquote, ascend, that's what they call it, you ascend from the community.
Ascend? Like you're fucking, like, escaping the mortal coil? What?
Yeah. Like, you leave the community, and then everyone turns their back on you. And so this all went viral because someone who I believe is a femcel, quote-unquote, that it says that in her bio, who knows if it's, like, ironic or not, she posted on Twitter a bunch of screenshots and said, "Breaking. The incel community is having a nuclear meltdown because one of their leaders finally got laid." Did I say nuclear?
Yeah, you said nuclear. Nuclear.
Oh my god, it's 12:30. A nuclear meltdown because one of their leaders finally got laid. So this guy wrote on Twitter, oh my god, also he's blue verified, incredible.
So he's a 33-year-old verified Twitter user who previously identified as an incel, who was a moderator for the incel forum, who is fucking a 19-year-old.
Yes.
Go on.
So he wrote, "I feel a lot of mixed feeling about leaving the incel community. While it feels so good to no longer be an incel, I'm going to miss all the friends and connections I've made. To all of you who have supported me over the years, thank you. I start a new chapter in my life, albeit late." And then someone posted, "It's honestly disgusting that you betray your community when some chick finally settles for you." This guy's profile picture is Elon Musk, by the way. The guy who said it's disgusting when you betray your community. Then this guy responds, "Well, enjoy being a virgin for some weird cause. No one wants to be an incel, lol. We're not Jedi."
Oh my god.
And then someone quote tweeted his leaving the incel community tweet and said, "This is the equivalent of LeBron retiring. The incel community has lost their biggest prospect."
Wait, okay, the thing is here is that, like, he wrote that post like he's dying or something. Like, I'm going on my next great adventure, or like, you know, I'm leaving a job or something. Okay, my question here. Do you think sex felt as good to him as he imagined it to be?
I feel like no one's first time is like that good.
It can't have lived up to his imaginations, right? Like, it cannot have been as good as he wanted it to be. Like, do you think he fucked and he was like, was this what I spent like the last 15 years of my life obsessed with? Because I feel like that would be me if I was a 33-year-old incel who's leaving the incel forum because I fucked a 19-year-old for the first time.
Yeah, I don't know. I think just, like, I feel like it might be more psychological than physical, where it's like, maybe he feels like euphoria at no longer feeling like a societal outcast. But the thing is that, like, to be clear, like, if you're 33 and haven't had sex, that's fine. You're not a societal outcast. Like, do things at your own pace. Who cares? The reason why this is news is that this guy has made his entire personality based around the fact that he thinks women are evil because he hasn't had sex.
Yeah, my hot take is that anyone who puts, like, fucking at either extreme, like, fucking either extreme end, if that makes sense, either you're an incel or you're somebody who talks about fucking constantly and makes that part of your personality, that shit's weird. You can do whatever you want. There's no value judgment to amount of sex unless you're annoying about it. That's my hot take.
Yeah, but
like,
I mean,
he's leaving the incel community to his friends that he's left behind. Like, what? Like, is he never gonna talk to them again?
Well, no, because that's the thing is that, like, if you have sex, then you're ousted from the incel community.
Is that how that works? Is you can just fucking, you're fucking, like, once you fuck, you just cannot, you leave them behind, you walk into the desert. The desert is full of pussy.
Maybe. It's like leaving a cult, though. It's like, people are mad at him because they're like, you betrayed us. So basically what's happening here is that an entire community of sad men are absolutely heartbroken that the LeBron of their community has ascended because he had sex.
The internet's so fucking weird.
And so I was at our friend Zoe's house. Shout out to Zoe, patron of the podcast. Also, friend of the podcast, not just a patron, you know. I was at Zoe's house, and we were just kind of doing that thing where you're just kind of both just, like, doing your own thing, but sitting in the same place and, like, whatever. And then I spent an hour sitting on Zoe's couch just reading incel forums and, like, telling Zoe all the stupidest things I saw. This was a full-ass hour. I took some screenshots of stuff, because I was like, gotta do research.
Yeah, please read me some incel posts. I would love to hear some incel posts at this time, 12:25 a.m. on a Saturday.
So I think the worst post I saw in the incel forum, which, the worst post in an incel forum, like, let me tell you, the bar is so low.
Oof.
Like, yeah. So the worst post is about these, like, this white guy who is an incel, and he goes to Thailand and uses Tinder in Thailand to have sex with random Thai girls because apparently he was like, oh, it's easier there, which, I mean, not gonna comment on that. Who fucking knows? Like, I don't know what was going on here. Maybe he just finally had the confidence to be like, hey, wanna go on a date? But so he made this post where it was like the 10 women he had sex with in Thailand. And he's writing just like...
Rating the women he had sex with in Thailand?
It's just like descriptions of all of these women and like what happened, and then like posting selfies with them as proof.
This is so creepy.
It's so bad.
That sucks. Hey, how come he's allowed to do that on the incel forum? Shouldn't he get booted?
I don't know.
Because he's fucking.
Maybe that was his...
Was that his goodbye? Here's the 10 women I fucked. I'm out of here?
Yeah. And then I also learned about blackpilling. Blackpilling is when you're just shown that nihilism is the only way. Like, life is meaningless because all the girls will only fuck Chad.
Do they talk about Chad? Do they talk about Chad in 2023?
No, yeah. Chad is the stand-in for, like, attractive man.
I thought that was a bit at this point. I thought we'd come back around to ironic Chad.
No, they're like, I was friends with this girl for 5 years, and then she goes on one date with Chad from Tinder and has sex with him. Why didn't she have sex with me?
I can't believe that still exists. Like, it's 2023.
Yeah, I also learned the word cope.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically, like, people being like, haha, you tell yourself that, buddy.
Got
and
it.
then I noticed someone say cope in the comments of a TechCrunch article, and I was like, oh no, I know what this means now.
You've unlocked the incel secrets.
Yeah.
So the original guy is leaving as a moderator because he's fucking banished from the tribe for fucking. Do you think, like, in his head before he fucked, he was like, oh my god, what is the community gonna do without me?
I think he was probably like, hell yeah. Yeah, also his girlfriend, like, knows about his incel stuff.
Maybe she's into pathetic men.
Well, apparently, this is all just hearsay of things I learned from the incel forums, because, I went really deep into this. Apparently, this girl he met from a femcel forum, so they were both incels. But she's a 19-year-old woman, and he is a 33-year-old man. But I'm happy for them, I guess, ? I don't know. There's no moral to this story. I just am like, I can't believe the main character of Twitter was the moderator of an incel forum who had sex, and then everyone got really mad at him for having sex.
No, that actually does completely track with who the main character of Twitter would be and its last dying gasps. This actually feels right for how the internet is going.
Yeah. Speaking of pathetic men.
Pathetic men. Yeah, Tucker Carlson got, like, fucking yoked from Fox News, which surprised everybody, even was, like, the fucking Dominion lawsuit happening. Just because it was very sudden. Apparently he didn't know about it. Apparently but what I thought was kind of interesting, because I was looking into this, is that his official viewership is only in like a few million people, which is very good for cable TV right now, but it's very bad for cable TV historically, just because people don't really watch news. So it's interesting how much reach he had with compared to his original numbers. I just thought that was kind of neat. He's gone. Who do you think they'll replace him with? The bad end is Trump. The bad end is Trump.
Devin Nunes?
Yeah, I can see that.
I don't know. That's my bet.
I think the neutral end, but likely end is that Trump replaces him, and I think that would be very funny. That's really all I had to say about this. God. It'll be what's her face from Succession, Carrie. That's a joke for Roshan only.
I did start watching Succession, however, I am on season 1, episode 8.
Wait, okay, tell me who your favorite characters are at season 1, episode 8 of Succession.
I feel like this is what the show wants you to think, but I think it would be so funny if Greg is CEO.
No, I have been saying this. I think Endgame Greg CEO would be so funny.
Yeah. I feel like that's like episode 1, like that's the setup, is that like Greg.
I think cousin Greg deserves the world. He doesn't, but he does.
I like Shiv because I love to see a girl boss winning.
You know, with Shiv, you really do see a girl boss losing a lot of the time, so it's nice to see it when she gets an occasional dub.
Yeah. I know that apparently there's a lot of Kendall Roy thirst going on the internet, which I know because my friend Kelsey Weekman wrote about it, like, in depth. Like, she did, like, in-depth reporting on Kendall Roy thirst.
I feel like it's less thirst and more just he's, like, a sad, wet cat of a man.
Yeah. I think Roman just... Godspeed, child.
Roman goes on a fun arc. Roman goes on an interest... everyone in that show is so fucked up. I'm excited for you to see how fucked up they are. I'm kind of behind in Succession.
I did really like the part where they try to go to family therapy and it just doesn't work.
That's really their family in a nutshell. They try things and it doesn't work, but they have money, so it's fine. I watch the show a lot and then I go... And I get really mad because if I had a lot of money, I would be using it in better ways.
Yeah.
And that annoys me because I'm like, give me the billions of dollars. I could make a far worse media empire. It would have many more podcasts.
I feel like I had to really, like, take a moment and, like, look at myself and, like, look at my choices and look at my life because I tried watching Succession a few years ago before I worked at TechCrunch and had to know, like, what venture capital is. And I was like, this is boring. I don't give a shit. This is just rich people trying to get richer and, like, their stupid board meetings. Like, I don't give a fuck. And then now I'm watching it and I'm like, they attempted a hostile takeover of his dad in the board meeting?
In the board meeting!
And the stock price dropped below 130?
It's like, God, whenever I watch it and I see them trying to do a deal and the deal starts going bad, I'm like, lawyers are gonna hate this one. Like, I literally watch it and I think about my job, which is why it took me a million years to watch it. Okay, now we're just talking about media. Do we have anything else? There was other stuff you wanted to talk about.
Well, my something else is that I think Succession is sort of like Blue Sky in that it's really popular only among people who care about mergers. Also, speaking of mergers, the Activision-Microsoft deal was blocked in the UK.
Yo, I saw that.
That's just brief news item. We'll see how that develops. This is the one merger I actually was in favor of. Like, I'm generally not really a merger kind of gal, but I was like, yeah, Microsoft actually has, like, pretty good policies on employee organizing. Like, their policy is basically, like, they will not interfere with any organizing, and if there is, like, enough people who want to form a union, then they'll be like, all right, cool. Like, that happened with ZeniMax, which is, I think, the largest gaming union in the country right now. Also, Sega is trying to unionize now. That happens. I'm just saying news.
Yeah, you're just telling us news now. What else is happening?
Yeah, this is a news podcast.
This is news
This
now.
is the New York Times Daily.
Disney is suing DeSantis.
Oh, yeah, Disney's suing DeSantis. News is happening, but the most important news for listeners of our podcast, I met Hank Green.
God. Okay, tell me about this.
So, I was in LA for some work stuff. One of them was this, like, creator economy conference. It was relatively small, and one of the people there was Hank Green. As we know from the podcast, Hank Green is my problematic fave. He's not problematic. It's just, like, I just call him my problematic fave. He's just, like, why am I obsessed with this, like, 40-year-old man?
No, I think it's fun. I think it's fun and good that we both have, like, in the grand scheme of things, pretty mid, like, podcast men white podcast men that were like, yeah, this guy's, unfortunately, love that dude. And mine is like the McElroys, and yours is like John and Hank Green. And I like that they're also like brothers. It just feels very matchy-matchy. We both have our
internet brothers.
Yeah, we both have our internet brothers. This is fine. This is regular. Go on.
Yeah, so there's like certain celebrities where I'm like, I cannot meet them. I cannot talk to them. Like, I was so afraid.
It's literally Hank Green, dude.
I know, but it's like, I've been watching
He's cringe
his videos
as fuck.
for like literally 15 years.
He's cringe.
I know.
He is chuggy, and you are not chuggy sometimes. You are less chuggy.
I think I just was like self-conscious about like, I didn't want to like bombard him when he was getting bombarded. Like, so I had 3 separate interactions with Hank Green.
Okay.
The first one, my friend Helen was also at this conference, and I've known her on the internet for a while, but we never met in real life. And then she texted me, she's also a fan, and she was like, oh my god, Hank Green is like standing right next to me. And I was like, I'm gonna come find you, my internet friend who I haven't met, and also Hank Green. And he was standing in the aisle between some seats, and then
regular
Helen
place for a guy to stand.
waved at me, and I waved. Helen waved at me, and then I waved at her, and then Hank thought we were waving at him, but we were waving at each other, and it was really awkward, and then I just went over and, like, was like, hey, Helen! And then we both overanalyzed this interaction for, like, a solid 2 hours.
Bro.
And then later, I was just randomly having a coffee with this random publicist that I just met. Like, we weren't even talking about work, we just kind of got along, and she is a publicist at VidCon, and we were just, like, talking and drinking our coffee. And then I was telling her, like, oh my god, I'm such a big Hank Green fan, I'm so afraid to talk to him. She was like, oh, I'll introduce you. And then he came in, and she was just like, oh, hey, oh, also, this is Amanda. And then Hank Green looks at me, and he says, oh, I know who you are.
Oh, okay.
Which I will forever be wondering.
How does he...
Does he know who I am because of journalism? Or does he know who I am because sometimes I shitpost at him on Twitter?
Did you ask? I'm assuming you didn't from
No.
what you're saying, but, like, you should have asked.
No. I don't know. We had, like, a very normal, like, couple-minute conversation, mostly about VidCon, because the person who introduced us was, like, a person from VidCon, which is the thing that he founded and then sold to Paramount. So that was interaction 2. Interaction 3. I was talking with Taylor Lorenz, who is, like, she's very nice. She is my friend. Like, anyone who shits on her, fuck you. But she's, like, a very, very well-known journalist and probably, like, the most well-known internet culture / creator economy reporter. Like, she's just, like a beast, for lack of a better word. And so, of course, Hank knows her. And so Hank came over to talk to her while I was talking to her. And then I was just like, oh my god.
You could have asked. You could have asked how he knows you at that moment.
Well, I asked him a more important question in this conversation. This was like a 20-minute conversation. Like, I was just, like, hanging out with Hank Green for, like, 20 minutes.
You had so much time to ask multiple questions.
Well, I asked him the important question, which is, this is also a question for the audience. This is very important, and I want people to tell me what you think. So, I signed a lease on a new apartment that I'm moving into over the summer. In Philly, a lot of buildings are, like, converted from things that were not meant to be apartment buildings, and thus it's very normal that there's just a lot of really, really weird design features. So this apartment, totally normal, everything I was looking for, like, perfect, everything what I want. But then, for some reason, there's just, like, this tiny little hallway that goes into a tiny little stairwell. And then there's just another tiny room.
So a dungeon.
It's a dungeon.
You've got a dungeon.
Like, literally, like, the leasing agent was showing me this apartment, and I was like, because she showed me, like, multiple apartments in the building, and I was like, oh yeah, I think I like the dungeon one, and she was like, the dungeon, and then she started calling it the dungeon one, and then she was like, I'm a leasing agent, I shouldn't be calling it the dungeon one, like, I can't do this. But I did really like the dungeon one, despite the dungeon, which at first freaked me out, but then I got really excited about, like, I'm moving into an apartment with a dungeon. What do I do with it? Like, yeah, it's essentially just a good storage space, but it's a dungeon.
You gotta make a podcast dungeon. Like, I mean, I'm obligated to say that because I am on the podcast with you, but you do need to make a podcast dungeon. Or it could be a very, very small sex dungeon. One person sex dungeon.
No. Well, that's the thing, is like, it's like, I wouldn't even want to have sex in there because it's kind of scary.
One person masturbation chamber.
It's kind of scary, again.
Some people are into that. Unfortunately, it's not you.
You can fit more than one person in there, but it's like, it's the size of like a large closet.
One person skeet experience.
I'm just down there skeeting,
Yeah,
and by that I mean
exactly.
posting on Blue Sky.
Yeah.
But so Hank Green also said podcast dungeon. Or no, he said podcast studio, not dungeon. He didn't say podcast dungeon. He said podcast studio.
He's literally
I think that's
right.
a good idea.
He's literally right.
That's too practical, though.
Well, you can make it the sex dungeon like I suggested.
That's also not practical because I don't want to have sex there.
I think you should make like a... God, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like what would be funny to put in there. I mean, I do think you should do like bookcase door sort of situation, and I think you could do like an IKEA thing with that.
That was my best idea so far, which I told you about like weeks ago.
Yes.
I've been thinking about this for a while. But it just seems so expensive. I even told Hank Green about that, and he was like, yeah, it's expensive.
I think you would probably just nail...
Because John has a door like that, so Hank would know.
Of course John Green has a door like that, of course. You could make a really tiny guest bedroom in there.
Again, this is not a place that one would want to have sex, and this is also not a place where one would want to sleep.
You could make a Dracula zone. I don't know, man. It's a dungeon.
Yeah, like, I don't know. Part of me is like, I just have to do the weirdest possible thing. Like, what if I just get a bunch of, like, disco balls and, like, pink flooring and, like, pink wallpaper, just make it, like, a weird disco room?
I like the idea of you having a tiny speakeasy in there. But it's just like a bar cart.
That's so funny.
It's like very... It's just a bar cart.
It's a speakeasy, but it's just, like, in my apartment.
Honestly, that'd be cute as hell. That would be funny as shit.
Yeah, I mean, that could be a place where I keep, like, a bar cart. And also my podcast studio.
Podcast speakeasy. Okay, that's where my vote is. That's all I got for you.
Yeah, I mean, that was my work trip. I met Hank Green and had an extended conversation with him, and he, in that extended conversation, told me that I should make a podcast studio.
I can't believe you didn't take that segue to tell him about your podcast.
I couldn't even, oh god, I should have, I
can't believe you were overcome in seeing Hank Green, of all people, that you couldn't tell him about your podcast. I'm giving you shit. You're valid, but I do have to give you shit for this. You understand.
Yeah. Can I also, I know this has been a long episode and it is almost 1 a.m., but can I tell you about my other strange celebrity sightings in LA?
Oh god, please do.
So, I mean, these weren't, like, out in the wild sightings. These were, like, I was at specific
These were
events
curated celebrity sightings. I understand.
Exactly. One of these events was this, like, Snapchat partner summit where Snapchat announces all of their new features and stuff. Work wanted me to go, and I was like, sure, I'll go to LA. Fine. So at the Snapchat thing, they had some creators there to be like, look at us, we're doing the thing. The two people that they have on this, like, main stage creator panel. Mm-hmm. 1, Jojo Siwa.
Oh, sure.
2, David Dobrik. For those who don't know, TLDR, David Dobrik, like, has been canceled many a time for things like... There was a Business Insider report from Kat Tenbarge, who is also a very cool internet culture reporter, who reported on how a woman was sexually assaulted on David's film set, not by David, but, like, his kind of culture enabled it. Then there was also a situation where on his film set, he was doing a very dangerous, unsupervised stunt, which literally almost killed his friend. Like... This guy had to get, like, 9 surgeries because he, like, literally almost died. Basically, just, like, David Dobrik.
The opposite of Jojo Siwa.
The opposite of Jojo Siwa. And I've been very fascinated by his treatment in the media because he is quote-unquote canceled. But then, like, he just opened a pizza restaurant in West Hollywood that's, like, doing really well, apparently.
No, but here's the thing about being canceled on the internet, is that a lot of the times it just doesn't stick. A lot of times what it is just a booster of your, like, clout. Because now you're somebody who can be, who's important enough to be canceled. Like, and I mean, I think it also, like, canceledness is less quote unquote sticky for men. Like, think about like John Mulaney being canceled and now he's back and it's like fine. People are not mad about it. I haven't watched it yet, but I haven't really seen that much negative pushback to him.
Wasn't it just that he cheated on his wife or something?
Yeah, like, I mean, well, it's like he went on like he went on a bender and then he also like cheated on his wife, has a kid now. It's a whole thing. None of this is really sticking to him. And he's honestly kind of using it as a way to rebrand himself from like his whole previous persona of like, yeah, I'm like pretty, you know, clean cut, even though look at all the things I've done in my past, to like, oh, it's not the past anymore, or is it? I don't know. I haven't really watched his new thing, but like, to get back to my main point, I'm not super surprised that his David Dobrik's pizza place is doing well. The attention matters more than whether it's negative or positive.
Well, the thing is, I did try the pizza because they catered it at the Snapchat event.
Okay. Was it good pizza?
Yeah. I mean, it was fine. Like, it wasn't, like, incredible, but it wasn't bad. Like, it was like, yeah, it's pizza. It's good. There's a thick crust and a thin crust variety, but for some reason he puts hot honey on, like, all of it, which I personally like hot honey. However, this was difficult at a conference when, like, after you eat something with hot honey, like, you need to wash your hands because you have honey on your hands, and there was only one bathroom, and it was just kind of a mess.
He just wanted to create the stickiest Snapchat event possible.
Yeah, he was skeeting all over it. And on that note,
God. You know, the combination of incel, skeet, we gotta end the pod. It's David it's
Podcast
over.
Podcast Dungeon.
The podcast dungeon.
It is fully 1 a.m.
The podcast is over. The podcast is ending right now. If you like this episode, tell a friend. Word of mouth is how we grow. Thank you to all of our patrons, and shout out specifically to Zoe, Bray, Andromeda, Thea, Brian, Gabriel, Lada, Matt, Max, and Aaron's husband. If you want your name in the above or in our Twitter header, slide right into our Patreon at patreon.com/wowoftrue. Shout out to audio editors Allison Mills and David Newtown, graphic designer and Canva Warlock Eric Silver, who made our logo, Sam Rizer, who made our podcast music, and Tessa Farah, who is transcribing our episodes. You can find us on Twitter as @wowofTruePod and Instagram and Facebook as @wowoftrue. Had your 15 seconds of internet fame? Slide right into our Twitter DMs and tell us about it. I guess you could slide into our like non-Twitter DMs too. That's fine.
Hit me up on Blue Sky. I'm @ralts.bsky.social. Yeah, I got @Ralts. Couldn't get @Amanda, but I got @Ralts.
Jesus fucking Christ. Until next time, let's get weird on the internet.
Skeet. I'm so sorry.